Hello everyone, I'm Ian Jarvis, and this is Introduction to Computer Science, Logic, and Coding. This is a video for Module 0, and in this video we just provide a brief overview of the software that we will be using for the course. So as you can see on my screen, I'm looking at Module 0. By the time you see this, you will have a video there, this one. And I just want to look at the three software applications that we will be using. So hopefully you've already gone through this before you get to this video. So the first one we'll look at is Visual Studio Code. Of course, if you click on each of these, you will get to the download page. Please download each of them and install them. Visual Studio Code is our source code editor where we will be writing our JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So I'm just going to jump over to Visual Studio Code. And here, the reason we use a source code editor is because it provides us with some functionalities such as syntax highlighting, auto-completion, bracket matching. These things will make sense later. Because technically you can write code in any old text editor. You just need to give it the right file extension. Anyway, so here I will be using Visual Studio Code. And on this left side, you can see I have three files. Our HTML file. Don't worry about understanding exactly what's going on here. I just want to point out a few things. One, we are linking to our CSS file. Our CSS file styles the content, such as color, font size, image location, things like that. We are able to influence with a CSS file. And we're also linking to our JavaScript file. So the HTML page really is the home page that our other files get linked to. Then we'll just take a brief look at our CSS. Here we're updating heading 1, our paragraph, and we're centering our video. Right? Again, we'll get into this more. And then our JavaScript file, which is just logging hello world to the browser console. Right? So the browser that we will be using, I will be using Google Chrome. So I'm just going to go over to Google Chrome. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going back to Visual Studio Code. I'm going to click on the HTML file. I am going to right-click or double-click, two-finger click. I want to reveal this in the Finder. And this is just going to locate this file on my hard drive. There it is. It's in this folder, Module 0. And I am going to double-click to open it. I will point out that if Chrome is not your default browser, you may need to go to the information of that file and choose the application, the browser that you would like HTML files to open with. Okay, back here. So I'm just going to double-click, and we will get our very, very simple HTML page showing up. In the URL, we have a file path, which we will get into next week, leading to this HTML page. So the reason we're using Chrome is that Chrome has very good, what are called, where are we here? Developer tools. So under View, under Developer, Developer Tools, note the shortcut, saves lots of time in the end. Open Developer Tools, and here you will get another window open that you might find shows up on a different side of your screen. Right? I prefer to have it at the bottom. And in here we'll be using two main tabs that you find here. The first one is the Elements tab, and this allows us to dive deeper into the HTML that we will be dealing with. Right? So we will use that a bit, but more specifically, we'll be using the console. So here, the console is a way of communicating with our JavaScript code. What do I mean by that? Well, if we go back to Visual Studio Code and back to the JavaScript file, here we can see we're saying console log hello world, right? So one, this lets us know that our file is connected to our HTML file correctly, our JavaScript file is connected correctly, and it just allows us to get some feedback along the way, right? So this will be a very important tool. Sometimes, as I have here, we'll have this, it's often yellow, but we need to be able to distinguish between alerts or errors that come up in the console, because that's where errors will be displayed, from the ones that are related to our code, right? And by that I mean, here's hello world, it's pointing to my file M0 and pointing to the line that this console log is happening, versus alerts and errors that don't have to do with our code and can be related to things that we are embedding on our screen, such as a video that seems to be presenting alerts. This is not uncommon. If I go to source code editor, Wikipedia, open it up, right? We have some alerts and errors that show up there, right? So this isn't always a bad thing. It's just allowing us, providing us information about our website and JavaScript code. Again, we'll dive more into that. Okay, so the last one we want to look at, and I'm just going to close that for a moment, is Filezilla. Filezilla is an application that allows us to connect to OCAD's web server. OCAD's web server is where your personal web space is located, where you will be able to build and maintain a website that we will be using for this course. So all your assignments and exercises will be going there. So we need a way to communicate with OCAD's web server. So we use Filezilla. So I am going to open Filezilla. Make sure you've gone through the PDF and video before you get here. And please go through that PDF and video a couple of times before you contact the IT help. But please, 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 if you're unable to get onto your web space, do contact them, because they are there to help you solve those issues. Okay, back to Filezilla. Here, open Filezilla. I am just going to follow the instructions provided in the PDF. I've already filled out this information. I just need to put the port in again. I've already created my new site. I'm going to connect. This little pop-up will happen. It's okay. We can just hit OK. At the top here, we get some feedback, and we notice here there's it's a successful connection. That's good. That's what we're looking for. You will notice red text and an unsuccessful sign coming up, and that's where you'll need to go back over the other files or contact IT. So briefly, this left panel is my computer. This right panel is the OCAD, my personal folder on the OCAD web server. So that's my web space. Everything that we will be doing is in this www folder. So I'm just going to double click in there. And here you will see I have three files there, right? These three files are on OCAD's web server in my web space, while these three files are on my hard drive. We need to be able to make that distinction because we are always dealing with two locations, OCAD's web server and your computer. And we need to develop on your computer and then upload them to the web space so that your content is available to me. So, okay. So lastly, let's just take a look here. I'm going to go back to Chrome, right? So here is the website. I'll get rid of developer tools. The URL is a file path to my HTML file, right? So I'm going to open a new browser and go to webspace.ocad.ca/tilde. This should all be somewhat familiar from the PDF and video. My username, and yes, I am just typing it out, right? And then I'm pointing to the name of the HTML file, right? Module 0 or m0.html. So I open that, and now we have the website, right? We are accessing the website on OCAD's web space, the OCAD server. And then this one, which is identical, is on my hard drive. So we're going to have to understand that difference relatively quickly, but this really is just a brief introduction. So please go through Module 0 before the first day of class. Ideally, this would happen a few days before in case you run into any issues. And that will be all for this video, and I will see you in Module 1. Take care.